This is Judith Skillman, reading Placenta Abruptio. It was a difficult pregnancy. I had been told that my baby would not live, that she had spina bifida and was missing a left kidney. Only the latter was true. In the last trimester, she turned breech and stayed that way. I had been asked by a specialist at Swedish Hospital in Seattle, Mrs. Skillman, why would you have a cesarean for a stillborn baby? So, when I felt as if my water had broken 5 weeks before the due date, I went into the bathroom and, feeling enormous pressure, found blood gushing out. I half walked, half ran, as fast as a pregnant woman can, into the kitchen and called to my husband, who was in another room. He saw blood spilling out, splashing the floor and hitting the walls of our tiny dining room, and stood stock still. Just before I laid down on the kitchen floor, I said, "Call the doctor." Somehow he got hold of my OBGYN. He maneuvered me into the family room where there was carpet, and the medics came. They started an IV, and I felt myself going into shock. But medics are good. "Stay here, stay with us," one said, and I managed to not pass out. I was carried out on a stretcher. I recall yelling, "I'm going to die," in the front yard before they got me into the ambulance. Another or the same medic asked me if I felt any contractions. No. The shocking part, besides the sudden loss of a great deal of orange blood, orange because it was arterial, is that I had no thoughts for my baby at that time. I had not bonded to her because of all the ultrasounds, the problems, and what was a horrific pregnancy, all in all. I had had what seemed like a miscarriage around the 3-month mark. When I went to the clinic, the on-call doctor gave me a choice. "Do you want to finish it off now, or wait until tomorrow to see if there is any baby left?" I chose to wait. I'd had an abortion at the age of 20. Perhaps that was what made me decide not to finish it off. Or maybe God or the universe was at work here. I prefer to think the latter, since the baby in question is my third child and second daughter, an incredibly strong, healthy woman of almost 40 years now, a true healer and therapist, and the mother of 2 beautiful sons. Then, too, there had been an electric shock in my own kitchen with enough voltage to kill a person. The shock gave the then 4-month-old baby arrhythmia. Well, I should say 4-month in utero baby arrhythmia, which was picked up during the monthly office visit. That is what led to the ultrasound, showing a black spot where the kidney should have been. All this was very concerning and led to frequent ultrasounds, which I hated, especially because lying there as they applied more goo and pushed the prod around, they talked about the baby as if I wasn't even there. I had to have a full bladder. I was exhausted and uncomfortable. Whatever nervous system regulation I'd had was gone. As if that wasn't enough, there was a car accident on black ice in which I was hit early in the morning while on my way to City University to teach business communications to 40 students. This happened in mid-December. The students were more concerned than I was, a pregnant woman whose belly had been pushed into the steering wheel. They urged me to cancel class and go home. After all, it was an accident. I did. At the next ultrasound, the doctors and nurses were discussing a second pool of blood that showed up, besides the other one that had apparently been there before. All the speculation about what was so terribly wrong with this, my third child, was extremely disturbing, especially because it was done in the third person, as if I wasn't even there. In fact, she kicked a lot. I recall wondering, how can a deformed baby be so active? I did have moments of questioning the various diagnoses, but by and large, and especially because the missing left kidney was a bona fide fact even on ultrasounds of the 80s, I didn't feel maternal, as I did during my first two children's pregnancies. Due to the numerous ultrasounds which were not de rigueur in the previous century, I only knew she was a girl, had a missing kidney, and God only knows, a plethora of problems. So, despite my then busy life of teaching twice a week, morning and evening, as a faculty member at City University, and raising my 7-year-old girl and 5-year-old boy, many days, especially towards the end of the pregnancy, which was in northwest midwinter, I wanted to die. I recall drawing the shades early on northwest darkness and drowning in depression, all the while taking care of business, child rearing, cooking, working, coming home, showing up as a wife and a mother. In the last few months, I had begun to do jazzercise at home as a way of dealing with the awfulness of the situation. I jazzercised vigorously to my favorite music. This helped with the moods somewhat. At the time of the Placenta Abruptio, I was reading Alice in Wonderland. I had just eaten a bowl of Familia, my favorite muesli cereal. Once I got to the hospital, and after a second OBGYN, not my doctor at the time, determined how serious the bleeding had been as it was in my toenails, it was decided that I must be unconscious for the surgery. This created a situation whereby they had to cut the oxygen off to my brain and have me pass out so that there would be no risk of vomiting under general anesthesia. I remember them placing a mask over my mouth and nose and saying that I might get a bit dizzy. It was nothing like that. I was screaming, "I can't breathe! I can't breathe!" and trying to jump off the table. They restrained me until I blacked out. The next day, the doctor apologized and explained why this had happened. It was kind of him to take the time to explain, yet the drowning experience is an indelible memory, a new kind of trauma to which I had not yet been introduced. Nor did I feel resurrected when I came to and felt the pain of the cesarean delivery. "Put me back under," I moaned. They gave me morphine. I'd like to say, all's well that ends well, but that isn't apropos. 4 years later, my baby girl, with whom I bonded strongly after birth, required major surgery. Another platitude. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Not necessarily. I feel more fragile as I tackle each new day. The body doesn't know time. Will bad things happen again? My amygdala wonders. Its reptilian design is certain to keep my defenses strongly in place, replace hurt with anger, and drive away those I most love.